measurements that I alluded to earlier, which will affect the relative handlebar height. We want to see the flexibility of his lower part of his body. So I want the hip flexors and the quad flexors. And I'm actually going to measure with this goniometer, which is just an angle tool, how far I can bend each joint before the muscle starts to pull or the other leg starts to come into play. And then when we look at him on the bike, we're going to make sure that he doesn't exceed those angles at any point. Because if he's exceeding those angles, then he's going into a range where the muscle's not effective. First, we're going to do a straight leg raise. I'm just going to lift the leg from the ankle. Ask him to give me the weight of his entire leg so it's completely relaxed. And what I'm looking for here, I can push his leg up way far, but I'm looking for the point at which this leg starts to lift, or I can feel the muscle in his thigh starting to rotate. And in Tony, that point is right about here. So, take my angle tool. Tony's got a hip flexor angle of about 43 degrees. That's actually pretty good. A lot of people don't get above 30. It's not exceptional, so we're going to have to be careful in the setup. Now what I want to do is see what the flexibility of the quads is. So I'm going to lift his leg from above the knee, lower leg's going to hang, and then I want to see, again, how far can I flex that joint before it starts to pull up on the other leg, or I can feel this muscle rotating. Okay, so that measurement is about 97 degrees. Above average, not exceptional. Okay, so I need to keep those numbers in mind when we see Tony on the bike. Last test that we'll do on the massage table. It's called a Thomas test. As I lower Tony's left leg to the table, of course we're going to do it for the right one as well, exactly what happens. So I'll ask him to relax all the muscles in his lower body, and very slowly I'm going to watch to see what happens. And once we see it, I'll explain what we're seeing. Okay, so what we just saw was this leg came all the way down to the table, the upper leg. So he's got very good hip flexibility. We've already seen that with the goniometer. Now the lower leg came out a little bit. So as we lowered it to the table, this part rose a little bit. That means that the quads are a little tight. The most important thing we discovered here, though, is when I let Tony's leg drop that last couple of inches, you can see it jerked out to the side. That's a tight IT band. IT band is a connective tissue that runs from the gluteus around the back to the side of the knee. And the purpose of it is to stabilize our knee when we walk or run so our kneecap doesn't flop from side to side, which would grind it away. If that's tight, though, then it could be a problem in cycling later on. It also can lead to a very serious injury for which the only cure is really long rest. We're going to align the cleats. This is the last step we do before Tony gets on the bike. And to do that, we would like to find out where the two metatarsal points, inner and outer, that's this bone here and this bone here. We want to find out where those contact the shoe. So I'll ask. Is that it? Yep. Okay, got it. Do is where you're going to use those two markings, the metatarsal, to line up the cleat so that the center of the pedal falls slightly behind the ball of the foot, or pretty much exactly halfway between the 2 points. So I put my fingers there, and in this type of pedal, which is a speed play, the center of the circle is the center of the pedal, and so actually this cleat is aligned properly. A previous method of aligning cleats just looked at the inside metatarsal and put the center of the pedal in line with that. So that put the cleat farther forward. A couple of problems with this. One is that it tended to put a lot of pressure on the front of your foot. So for a lot of people, that meant hot foot, tingling, numb toes, a lot of different issues. The reason is there's a nerve that runs through the ball of your foot, and it's very exposed toward the front. If you put a lot of pressure on that, you crush the nerve. Secondly, by getting the cleat back, we get more of the whole foot into the cycling motion. So we can use it more as a lever. That's particularly helpful when you're climbing. Okay. So what we're looking at here is the spin scan function of the comfort trainer. This is a 360-degree graph of the pedal cycle. This is the right pedal stroke from top to bottom, and this is the left pedal stroke from top to bottom. So what it shows us is we're looking at the amount of watts it's putting out. We've got cadence in here, and we got a percentage of power left and right. So we see right now the left is putting out slightly more power than the right. And then if we look at the shape of the graph, the pinched spots are weak spots in the pedal cycle. Now, if someone were able to pedal a full 360 degrees with the same amount, we'd have a perfect circle. Very few people can really do that. But we'd like to see a nice oval there, because these pinch spots are the transition. We're coming over the top of the pedal stroke or pulling through the bottom. And if we get the fit right, we should be able to help the cyclist improve that, because we're going to neutralize his contact points and make sure that the body is primed mechanically at the most efficient position. Now we're going to start recording digital video, and we're going to then analyze the video that we get. So we're looking at Tony through a side camera. I'm just going to record a few seconds of that, and then we'll play it back. Okay, so now we have a video of Tony on the bike. And what I've done is I've slowed it down to 40% so we can see him in slow motion. I've put some little pieces of tape on the pivot points so that we can easily see that on camera. And I've drawn a line. That line represents the angle of the seat tube. We're going to line up the left pedal, the center of the left pedal with that line. That's going to be the farthest point that the left foot is ever away from the seat. And we're going to take that point and measure the knee angle. Okay, so that's what we call dead bottom center, the farthest away from the seat that the foot will be. Now I've used my on-screen tools to connect the hip socket, where the knee pivots, and the ankle. And we see we've got an angle there of 37 degrees. Okay. Now, what we really want is an angle of 30 degrees, which if I measured with the goniometer manual, I would get that. Because the cameras are 12 feet from the bike, it exaggerates a little bit. So now I really want to find an on-screen angle of 35 degrees, and that's going to be my target. Now we have another complication here. We know that we have a longer left leg than the right leg. We're going to set the left leg to that 35 degree extension, and then we're going to figure out how we can make the right leg the same, because otherwise the right leg's going to overextend. If we set it to the right leg, there's no way we can correct for the left leg being longer, so we're going to do the opposite direction. Okay. So because we measured an angle that is too great, that means that the seat is too low. So we're going to raise the seat a little bit until we get that 35 degree angle. So this is our second take. Now I've measured an angle of 31 degrees. So you're seeing we've actually raised the seat too much. We've gone past it. So we've gone from 37 degrees to 31 degrees, and we're aiming for 35. So let's make one more adjustment and see if we can nail it. So our third try, we've gotten the knee angle on the left foot to 34 degrees. And we're going to leave it there for now. We'll come back to it and probably recheck it later on, but that's really close. Now normally, we're probably okay with the seat height at this point. However, I'm going to go and measure his right leg manually to compare, because I want to make sure that he's getting the same leg extension. I suspect he's not. What I've done is I've come around and I've measured Tony's right knee extension at dead bottom center. He's got 5 degrees less knee angle at dead bottom center on the right. That's what we'd expect because his left leg is shorter. So it's overextending at the bottom of the pedal. So we're going to put a shim in between Tony's cleat and his shoe to even that out. We've got left leg that's extending properly, right leg that's not. And we're seeing 4 to 6% more power on the left side than the right side. So that's the actual effect. That's what we're trying to correct, not because we care so much about what angle his knee at, but at the proper knee angle on both sides, he's going to put even power on both sides.